Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? This is Todd Bookspan, and I'm joined today by my good friend and coach, Bill Hart. So welcome, Bill.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for that. Great to be here.
I'm super excited to see many of you here. I'm working on getting my screen shared properly so that I can show you guys the insane productivity stuff. There we go. We are getting there. So hang tight while we get that piece going. And we've got Dave here as well. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing great. Hey, everybody. It's good to have you guys all engaging. Looking forward to the conversation.
So let's go ahead and set the stage. So we've got a decent sized group, a little smaller than our usual crew, and so we're going to continue to have a dialogue today, right? So here's sort of the goals of where we're at. I know many of you already, and I know you guys are all in different spaces. So we've got people on the call today between module 3 and done. So number one is that whatever you've got to add, it's going to be huge value to all of us. Number two is really what we're looking for are topics that are of interest to you. And think about something that you think would be great to have feedback from Dave, Bill, or myself on, or if you would like to have feedback from other parties that are part of this group, that would be fabulous. And that could be something that you're killing it, that you're successful with, something that's a huge challenge that you want feedback on, or just any other general question would be awesome. We also have the potential to be talking about some of the stuff there. You'll see that Dave's got the handout set up for us there, so you guys can look at the 12 insane reminders, and you can look at that we got the MCY worksheet in there. So we've got some good stuff alongside there if you guys want to see it. I should say, for those of you who haven't been on the calls with Bill before, Bill is also a coach at Building Champions and was my coach for my first 4 years in the mortgage business. So I credit Bill with tons of my success. And Bill hasn't been able to join us on a lot of calls because he travels around the country speaking to loan officers and realtors. So I think it's a true honor to have him. So let's take advantage too and make sure that we hit him up with some good questions as we're going through today. Sound good? What do you think, Bill?
I am here, man. I bring 14 years of experience to react to. I have nothing prepared, but if there's any value I can transfer, I'd be happy to do it.
Wonderful, wonderful. One last thing we'll say too is that we're going to continue going on with this program. Dave will kind of talk about it. We've got another class of about 100 plus coming on board in Insane Productivity in January, so it'll also be a good time for a lot of people to reboot and kind of get going with a new group as well. So certainly excited for that. I'm going to unmute.
Todd,
yes, sir.
Let me jump in. I just want to, for everybody on the call, just help everybody understand what's happened. So when we first opened this up, it's been a little over 3 months. We've had over 100 mortgage coach professionals in the program. And to Todd's point, some of them are at, module 3. Some of them have gone through it. Some people are already going through it for the second time. And we're bringing on a new class that we expect it to be over 100. So there'll be 100 more. So, when you think about the community that we have here, we're going to have, as of the first week of January, there'll be over 200, possibly 300 mortgage coach professionals that all have a common theme. They want to improve their personal productivity. So this is the community. So I don't want to repeat what Todd said, but I just want everybody to have that vision. When you come here on Friday, I'm coming here to connect with like-minded folks, people that are part of the mortgage coach community, people that have invested money and time to be part of the Insane Productivity community, and we're all here for the same thing: be more productive as a human being. That means be more productive as a mortgage professional, and be more professional or more productive as a dad, as a husband. I mean, that's one of the coolest things about this project is I'm used to getting testimonials around helping people close more loans, have a competitive advantage. I mean, I've dedicated my, adult life to helping people have a competitive advantage. But the success stories that I'm hearing from this project, it's like, hey, we're closing more loans and I have a better quality of life. I'm less ADD with my mobile phone. So I just wanted to set the stage so everybody knows who's on this call and what we're here to do. And Todd, with that said, I'll hand it back to you.
Wonderful. No, I appreciate that. I think that's really helpful. And so remember the rules. So obviously, if you want to say something, would love it if you would raise your hand, right? You can use the raise your hand feature in the GoToMeeting. You can also post a question in the questions as well. And then, we'll continue to call on a few of you, especially. We've got some rock stars on here. I'm gonna start by unmuting Bliss Sawyer, because not only is she always add great value to the group, she also posted that she was going to only be here for a short period of time, and I want to make sure that that we get some inspiration from her. And she's also a graduate of Insane Productivity Live, so I'm going to work my magic here once the computer cooperates and unmute you, Bliss, but I haven't done it yet because it is not letting me. Let's try something different. I may need some help if there's someone in the background besides me at Mortgage Coach who's got the ability to unmute Bliss, because my computer is not letting me do that. Oh, there we go. All right, Bliss, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Sheesh, yeah, I was a little scared there. My computer was giving me trouble. So
you did it.
So since you said you're only going to be here for 20 minutes, I figure I'm going to pick on you early. How are you? How are you doing, and what's going on in Insane Productivity in your life?
So it's good. So one of the things that I kind of got the germ of the idea of when I went to Insane Productivity was to put together a 1-hour class for loan officers and real estate agents, and I called it Achieving Raging Success. And so I kind of jumped on that idea, spent a couple weeks putting that together, and have started teaching that. And it's getting me in front of realtors, and it's awesome for two reasons. One, it made me really analyze everything that I had pulled out of Insane Productivity, what works for me, how does it work in our industry. And so it's been just personally good to go that deep with something if you're going to teach it, but then also putting me in front of real estate agents in a kind of a credible way, not just asking for business, but giving them something and for their business. I tried to get it approved for a CE class, but the state said it was too motivational. There's a lot wrong with that statement. So I just went straight to the brokers and I said, this is what it is. And they're like, that's exactly what our agents need. And I didn't wait till January. I approached it and said, hey, you know what? Let's do it in December. Let's do it and get you going so that in January, you've got some good habits in place. And so that's been kind of fun. Yeah.
And so is it Insane Productivity, best of Insane Productivity in your words, repackaged, or a little bit of that and other stuff?
So I've kind of always studied time management, and I have done a lot of coaching, so I kind of really took a lot of the things that I think people in our industry struggle with. And then the main things from Insane Productivity were the jam sessions, the finding your top 3 functions, your vital functions, and then metrics. So I pulled those 3 things from Insane Productivity and kind of made that fit around other things in it, because those are the 3 things that impacted me the most from Insane Productivity. So it was the jam sessions, vital functions, and vital metrics, and then just really kind of relayed that to the industry of being a real estate agent. Right? And so, so a good portion of it is from Insane Productivity, but then the rest is just kind of my take on things over the years of working with people and myself. And I shared with them what worked for me. And this is what I've done, and this is what I've implemented. You can't do it exactly like I'm doing it and be successful because you're different from me. So you have to take this, and it needs to inspire you to go in and try and experiment and just try creating some of these habits and these systems. So yeah, it's been great.
So I think that most people, when they think, oh my gosh, creating a class, number 1, and then actually going out and teaching it, number 2, is a little bit overwhelming. And so, is this something where you do a PowerPoint presentation and it's super detailed with 100 slides, or is it a booklet you've created, or is it more winging it?
It is a PowerPoint, and it's probably 20 slides. It's just some major, main topic points, and then I kind of give some stories. I looked up some statistics about what an average real estate agent produces, and we talked about what it takes to become exceptional. And then we just kind of brainstormed some ideas on what would be your vital functions, and what would you do, we talk about a morning and an evening routine, and we just kind of brainstorm ideas while they're there and brainstorm ideas for jam sessions. So they've got some concrete things. They can then go take those ideas and start experimenting in their day of how to implement those things. So yes, it's a PowerPoint, but I try to kind of get them involved, and I have a handout, but my handout is literally my PowerPoint. I try to keep it super simple. The other thing I did that was really kind of cool, I asked everyone to voluntarily put their cell phones on silent into a basket. I said, you don't have to, but if you want to, at the end of the class, I'm going to draw one of these phones out and give you a prize. And all but one person, I've taught it twice this week, all but one person in each class put their cell phone in the basket. And again, the brokers loved it, loved that I grabbed their attention, and the fact that I initially started with something that's kind of a big thing, give me your phone, right? But ties right into talking about jam sessions and working without interruptions. And so that was kind of a fun thing. And if I were in a big group, I would probably do it where I would say, turn your cell phone off and trade it with your neighbor. So that's kind of how I would plan on. Yeah, it would, right? Right. And so, but you can go 50 minutes without your phone, and I want people to realize that. And so and my classes have been small, which I actually really like, but again, I'll do it that way if I go to a bigger size.
Well, I love that idea, and I think that's, I'm glad you said that, because I do think that people are intimidated by going to a big group, and, I could see coming up with something like this, again, using stories of your personal success, your personal challenges, stories you've heard on these calls of people's success and people's challenges. I love that you're asking them while you're there to give their ideas and suggestions so that everyone there has something to walk away with. It's interactive. And then I do think a small group is always great. And so you don't feel like you have to go out there and get 50 people in a room to have it be successful. Feel like a small room, especially if you're nervous or just starting out, because then it's just a conversation.
Well, and I share my fails. I share, I had a goal to drink 8 glasses of water a day, and I'm up to a Dixie cup, like literally. And so,
that's awesome.
It's not, nobody's perfect at this, and it's just about experimenting. And so, yeah, it's been awesome. I love it. I'm going to hopefully get into a whole lot more brokerages and do some of these small groups.
Well, and I love that. And we've talked over time on Lunch and Learns. I think you guys could search it in the Facebook group. There's a couple of lists going of Lunch and Learn ideas that people have put in there. And I think the key with it is don't be scared to try something new. Think about what you're passionate about, what you've learned through this course, what you've learned from other ideas out there. And, don't be afraid to host a roundtable. And you can always start it off with 2 or 3 of your own friends that are realtors to give it a shot. And it's, how hard is it to get a broker to let you come in, Bliss?
Actually, it was really easy. And then I'm asking for them to give me some testimonials to go to the brokers I don't know as well to try to get into their offices. And so, yeah, it's actually been pretty easy. And then I'm going to do it once in my office because we have a lot of very small, random kind of brokerages around my area. So in January, I'm going to do it in my office and just invite whoever wants to come to that.
That is awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you jumping in. I know that you've got a short day today. Anything else that you feel like we should be discussing as a group when we're all together today?
No, this is great. I love the group. So I love that we all live and breathe the same thing every day and share ideas. So it's awesome.
Thank you. Oh, I appreciate it, Bliss. Thank you very much. Hey, Coach Bill, do you have any input on that? I know that your passion is coaching loan officers on how to engage with realtors. Any ideas or takeaways from what Bliss said that you think would be great?
Oh, there's so much, but I'll keep it brief. Bliss, what I love and what I would encourage you to lead your marketing message with is the state said no to this offering. Like it doesn't get any better than that. It was too motivational. Seriously, you don't want to fly right in the face, of the parent organization, right, from the realtor's perspective. But honestly, I think you could turn that into an absolute marketing win. The state said no. Put that in a big bullet on your, whatever it is that you're using to promote it. I think it's brilliant. I think it's genius. I love the idea of finding something that really connects with the agents who want to improve. So often I think that having spent so much time with realtors over the years, it's just easy to kind of go down the path of appealing to, what I call the blue hairs, right? And they're the little old ladies that have a real estate license and they need their CE credits and they come and they're looking for the food. And yeah, if you're connecting with people who genuinely want to improve and get traction and lift in their careers, however you do that, the better. So I just, all I can do is give you high fives and encourage you and keep doing it, because that's spectacular. This is awesome content. It will make a difference for realtors that apply it. What did you find out as average production, by the way, these days for realtors? It's been anywhere from 3.5 to 6 units a year.
So what I looked up was they're closing 8 units a year, average income of $44,000. And I said, your goal needs to be consistently closing 4 units a month, and making after expenses $200,000 a year. And so, yeah.
So I think that's the thing for everybody on the call. If you can hear that if average production by NAR right now is 8 units a year, $44,000 in income, it's because there's all these dabblers in real estate, right? There are people that dabble that don't take their business seriously. And what Bliss is doing is Bliss is creating an offering that says, if you're serious about your business and you want to take it up a notch, let's talk about the few things that are going to have the biggest impact on you. So, the Bliss, I think what you've stumbled on here is the reason that in a mortgage audience, and Dave and Todd, you've heard this a million times, Cindy, if you're on, if the speaker makes a joke about realtors or realtors aren't loyal, an audience full of loan originators laughs at that. And they laugh at it because there's truth in the fact that dabblers aren't loyal, right? But there's a ton of realtors out there who do a lot of volume. Steve Harney says it's 7% that do 93% of the volume. You talk to that group or even the next 10% below, and you've got people that want to partner. So, every month, if you guys aren't seeing these on the site, we're now doing these audio or the realtor interviews via video, thanks to Dave. So, listen to some of these people that are doing 100, 200, 300 units a year. They think very differently than your typical realtor.
I forgot all about the interviews now that they're available on Mortgage Coach. I think we should give Dave a hard time because he needs to promote that a little bit more. But for those of you who are unaware, Bill's interviewed realtors for how many years, Bill?
18
years, and does a monthly interview, and there's just so many great tidbits in all of those. And now there's a handful of them since he's transferred it over and has it available on the Mortgage Coach website. But there's great ideas in there for you to be able to bring to your realtors. So I would highly encourage you guys, if you're not doing that, it's also a great thing, kind of take one from what Bliss just said, right? Invite a handful of realtors to your own office, throw it up on a computer screen or a big screen TV ideally, and actually have a bunch of realtors watch the interview and then do a discussion afterwards, right? There's not a whole lot of preparation in that for you other than watching it ahead of time so that you can sort of prep some questions just in case the audience is quiet. I don't know, Bill, if you've got anyone doing that, but that certainly would be something I would consider.
I have had people do that, and to your point there, Dave suggested early on we should shorten those up. So they're now like 25 minutes where, in the old days they were 60 minutes because honestly we were putting them on 60-minute cassettes. We had to fill the tape, right? So now they're 24 minutes. Yeah, it's a much better design for a more ADD consumer, and it's an easy thing to be able to do. And look, it's not Dave's fault. I have been between my travel and getting the Skype thing mastered. I'm not delivering them as rapidly as I need to up until now, but they will be there every 30 days. And to your point, they're a great tool. And by the way, whether it's Bill doing it or, years ago, Tim Brahim doing the gift of knowledge, the interviewer doesn't matter. It's not me. It's the showcasing of the top agent to talk about the things that matter to the agents that you want to do business with or build relationships with. That's the thing that matters.
Hey, I'd love to jump in on 2 notes. So first of all, Bill, I think you're cutting yourself short. I mean, Bill is, not only a great interviewer of anybody, he's got to be one of the best, if not the best, in our mortgage industry. But when it comes to actually, from a lender's perspective, interviewing an agent, it's pretty special. So to me, if I was a mortgage professional, I would be watching that. I'd be sharing it with agents just as a gift of knowledge. But the stories that you can get out of it, like Bliss, I love the way you're You're taking what you've learned from Insane Productivity. You've learned it to where it's improving your own personal productivity. And now you're learning it at a level to where you're teaching it and you're sharing it. And you're putting, an event around that. I mean, that's awesome. And I think, Bill, what you're doing, I would urge all mortgage professionals do the same thing. Use the gift of knowledge from Bill, share it, but then learn that story so that, you can be a leader. I mean, let's face it, that's what all the best loan officers do, is they're leaders. And I just see every one of those interviews, Bill, it's an incredible success story. There's, 3 or 4, call it lessons in leadership as a realtor. And I hope all the mortgage coaches out there will get into that. Now, I do also want to say something on a product note. It has not been formally launched. Like when we launch a new feature, a new product, there's a month of marketing around it. I would say that we're in the early releases of launching it. Bill, if you don't mind posting the link to the most recent one in the Facebook group here. I don't know whether you do it today or some other time. If you wouldn't mind posting that. So this link that Bill's going to post, this is a shareable link to this one single interview. And I would just tell everybody it has not been formally launched. It'll probably be January when we really start messaging it to the mortgage coach community, and it just becomes, piece of our platform. Right now, what is this, your third one, Bill?
I think this is the third, yeah. And the fourth and fifth are lined up. They're just not scheduled yet.
Yeah, so it'll become part of the platform, part of the product, very kind of ubiquitous for everybody. But for now, just consider the link that Bill gives you as kind of like early access to a feature that's, on the runway and getting used. Anyways, great conversation. I'll pass it back.
All right, I apologize. I called Dave out, and it's early launch. I didn't realize that, but that's great. You guys are all in on the know, and I know, Melissa, you have to run. I got one last question. If you have time, if you don't, that's okay. Tell us no. But did you set follow-up with the agents who are in your class? So now you've got a reason to engage with them and build relationship with them over the next 12 months? Oh, we lost Bliss. I thought that was the case. She said she could be out for 20 minutes. We're 23 minutes in. So that would be my other thought, just to kind of do a follow-up on that. And I'm still looking for a hand from someone. If not, I'm going to call on one of you that I know. But the other key is about doing a class like that is you've already kind of set up for them what productivity looks like, right? If you're talking about jam sessions, then you have the ability to follow up with every one of them with a weekly email on Friday saying, how many jam sessions did you do this week? You've also got the ability, if they're committed to doing a certain number of calls, whatever those vital metrics are, of basically following up with them. You've got a reason to engage with them, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly. But ultimately, most people leaving that class, probably except for that person who wouldn't give up their cell phone, everyone else is probably willing to have you be part of their life going forward. And so normally in this market, this time of year, people are scared of realtors. They're scared of figuring out how to get them to engage. And I think putting together a class like this would probably be, 1 or 2 jam sessions of time, a PowerPoint that doesn't have to be anything too fancy. And I think you could probably even take some of the materials we have here and use them in your class, your 12 insane reminders, that type of thing. Even though there's a couple that are mortgage coach specific, you could wipe those out or just swipe and adapt and create your own. So I wouldn't be afraid of that. I'm going to unmute Michelle Town, and we haven't talked to you in a while to hear how you're doing with Insane Productivity. Are you there, Michelle?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. How are you doing?
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I figured out how to use the join to webinar and the voice. I don't have to be on my phone anymore. So great. Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing great. I am so sorry, you guys. I thought it ended and I didn't know that we were still going until I talked to Dave a couple days ago. I'm like, dude, how come I'm not on there anymore? Did I get kicked off? So great to be here.
That's what it was. We kicked you off, but we're glad you're back.
Dang it. Okay. It's been a great ride for me over the last month. I think the last time I spoke to everybody, I had made a decision of having to get rid of one of my disruptors in the office, and I will tell you the first 2 weeks were a little bit tough because she was pretty integral to part of my team, and we're now 6 weeks into it, and it's, oh my gosh, life is, I'm so glad I did it. It was a very hard decision, but I'm glad I did it, and I don't think I would have had the gumption to do it had I not had all this training that's going through of finding out what is working and what is not, prioritizing my day, really taking my jam sessions really important. I took a lot of good notes from Bliss because one of my fears, and if Cindy Urban's on the phone, she gets to hear this one, is lunch and learns. I'm such an introvert that I get nervous getting in front of those realtors. So I'm super excited, and I'm thankful to Bliss for sharing that.
Yeah, that was a knockout idea for sure. So talk about jam sessions for one second, because that still seems to be the biggest hot topic of this group, people struggling with jam sessions. How many jam sessions are you trying to do a week right now?
I am officially at 3 a week, no questions asked. I'm trying to do my 4th one. So that's where I was having a little bit of challenges, is fitting in that 4th one. I do my jam sessions in the morning because I get in, I organize my day, I grab my coffee or my Red Bull, and do my jam sessions. I now integrated a new one into the afternoon. That's my newest one that I've had a little bit of struggles with because I get overwhelmed, or a client calls me, and then I feel like I start laughing because I go, oh my God, you're chasing the tail again. Here you go. You're not being in demand, you're being on demand, so you need to remind yourself of that. That's probably one of my biggest struggles, is feeling that I have to pick up that phone. I am no longer, this is super great for me, I'm no longer taking my phone calls in the car anymore. That was huge for me. That was huge for me. So I'm trying to drive less. Just kidding. But I just don't take those phone calls. But the jam sessions are so important for me. I cannot tell you how it sets my day for me. I'm clear. I'm concise. I deliver what I do. I don't finish everything because I'm still an overachiever. I still put too many things on my list, and that's one of the things I'm hoping, working through Insane Production and working with this group, that I can learn to be a little bit more realistic on my expectations of myself. But other than that, it's been great.
I love that. And are you doing 60 minutes, 90 minutes, or less?
I'm doing 90 minutes right now. 60 wasn't enough because I was just getting into my groove. So I needed that extra 30 minutes to kind of fine tune and take my notes and reorganize what I needed to do. So I'm doing 90-minute sessions from 8 to 9:30 Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then I have my Friday one that's always after this meeting.
And then are you doing it in your office, or are you going somewhere else to hide from people?
Well, I've been working a little bit more remotely lately. So I do my Mondays in my office, but the Wednesdays I do at home. So it's easy to hide. I just have to hide from my dogs. That's the only thing I have to hide from. And then my Thursdays I'm in the office. So I'm doing them in the office. I just close the door. Everybody knows now. They know exactly what's going on. It's on their calendar. So what I do is there's a calendar invite that goes out to my team, and they know, unless somebody's hair is on fire, don't come bother me from 8 to 9:30.
So I love that, right? It's just getting the buy-in from the team and them knowing. I'm guessing they're seeing the results of this increased focus that you're doing with the jam sessions.
For sure, we're about to. We are 3.5 million away from our goal this year.
Congratulations. So are you gonna chase that down in the next 30 days, or are you okay with where you're ending up?
Actually, I think we're gonna. I mean, with what's in the pipeline right now, we're gonna hit that goal. But I'm now. I've kind of, for me, everything that's already in is done. I mean, you might get a quick purchase, here or there, but I'm actually focused on January. So I start I'm like Bliss. I start everything. I don't wait until January to start rebuilding and contacting the realtors. My campaigns this week, next week, and the week after will be all realtor centric, making sure that everybody's got what they need. We did a great big campaign that went out last week where we took all of our mortgage products that we do, some of the newer things that are coming out, and I just sent out for every realtor that I had worked with this year which was quite a few. we sent out packages to them, of the company, our products, what our mission statement is, which is what we were able to put together, and what our value add is. And I cannot tell you how great they're all hitting. They've all been hitting this week, and I'm getting so many phone calls just from reaching out to the realtors and letting them know, here's our product line. Let's move forward to 2017. Let's make it great. If it was a listing agent, we did a handwritten card. It was great working with you on the Beaver Street transaction. Look forward to working with you next year. So kind of a soft way to ask for business, but to put us right back in there in front of them. So that was our campaign that just went out, and our next campaign will be, if anybody's not doing this, you should be, or you shouldn't. I'm not gonna say you should be. It's a great opportunity to open up with your clients. We do closing statements at the end of the year, so we just finished getting them all prepped up, and we will be emailing and overnighting our closing statements to all the clients that we closed this year, refinances and purchases.
Which is great, right? And I love that idea, and I hear people talk about it all the time, and I rarely hear of people actually executing on it. So good for you. That's awesome that you're doing it. And I think that the rest of you on the call who are thinking, well, gosh, what am I going to do with my realtors between now and the end of the year? Michelle just gave you the playbook, right? I mean, reach out to them. I mean, a handwritten note. I mean, it's genius because it's simple to all the listing agents you close with, thanking them again for the Beaver Street transaction, to let them know you look forward to working with them next year. Because ultimately then you've got an excuse now to call them, whether it's next week or the first week of January, to wish them a happy new year. It's just such an easy time to pick up the phone and call agents. How much of that are you doing proactively right now, Michelle?
Oh my gosh, this is, I mean, honestly, I am 10 to 15 calls to realtors per day right now. It's a little bit heavier than I normally do, but it's all following up, making sure they got that package that we sent, reaching out to them to see if they have any needs, letting them know that, hey, we're here. If you have an emergency, up until the 15th of December, we can close your loan by the end of the year, that kind of stuff, just staying in front of them and really wishing them, the best luck. And my next project is actually to go in and, pull production for those realtors and compare them from 15 to 16 to see which ones grew. Was I part of that growth? If I wasn't part of that growth, why? These are questions that I would ask myself. So that's what my first week in January is. So it'll be lots of metrics. But I'm on the phone all the time with the clients. I make 50 to 100 calls a week.
So you all heard that, right? 50 to 100 calls a week, and those are proactive outbound calls to referral partners.
Hey, Michelle. Hey, you mentioned earlier that you're 3.5 million away from your goal. What is that goal? Just so we all know.
100 million.
Got it. So I don't know, everyone. Think about that. I mean, you're doing 100 million in volume. I know loan officers that are closing 5 loans a month that say they're too busy to do 3 to 5 jam sessions a week. So I did a call with Darren yesterday where we invited a lot of CEOs and heads of production. It was a leadership call, which, by the way, I'll be happy to put a link to that. It was an invite only. I only invited heads of production and CEOs and some regional leaders. It was, primarily the call was to introduce Insane Productivity and sell Insane Productivity, get them to sign up people. And by the way, Michelle, thank you for joining that call and adding a great testimonial. And Todd, thanks for the value you brought to that. But Darren, I can't remember, it was probably in the last third of the call, there was a question that came in that was asking this question around, hey, how can a branch manager, produce, recruit, help solve problems, and you almost thought Darren was going to, have some empathy for him. And he's like, are you kidding? And I can't remember the story, but he used Dr. Oz, who's, got a 5-hour-a-week show. He's got a book. He speaks. He still does 100, surgeries a year. And so, Michelle, I mean, you are just a great example of just how much someone can do and still be strategic. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully everybody on the call got some inspiration from that you can do at least 3 jam sessions. And I know in the 12 reminders document we put together, we kind of established it in the mortgage industry. 7 is the number. You know, while I think Darren advocates that 10 is the goal, I think given the job we have as mortgage professionals to communicate, you know, 10 might not even, it might be too many. You know, if you're doing 10 jam sessions a week, you may not be prospecting and communicating enough. But somewhere between 3 and 7, you know, is the right. You know, and it probably changes based off of the seasons in your mortgage practice. Hey, Michelle, one more question. When you think of 100 million, how many transactions, how many families are you serving?
I have served, as of today, we're at 97 or 96.5. We've served 217 families.
And so 207. Do you have an idea on the average number of man hours or woman hours, people hours, human hours that go into a loan? You know, I've studied that, and I've asked folks. You know, I've heard it anywhere from as low as 3 to as high as 7. And obviously, we have those deals that, you know, that are 20 hours. But any idea how many human hours go into serving a family from the first call to closing?
I would definitely be on the high side on the 7 because, you know, part of our process is to stay in touch and in front of them all the time. So, and do you mean man hours just for the loan or man hours for the marketing that we do afterwards? Because my CRM reminds me every quarter to call every client I've closed. So that's one of my 100 calls that I do. But I call personally every client that's closed every quarter.
Yeah. So first of all, good to know, and I think that's another metric is how many touch points and how many human hours are spent in, call it, managing the mortgage, you know, outside of the transaction. But the studies I've done, and I've actually done some calls on this, you know, where we identified there's 15 steps and 12 milestones.
Right.
And, you know, again, that was in a call that I did a couple years ago called the Perfect Loan Process, where we really broke it down. I would just push as we're coming into the end of the year, hearing you talk, Michelle, how much volume you're doing, but yet you're still finding time to be strategic and do jam sessions. I would put a push on everybody to, you know, what are your 12 milestones in 12 milestones, 15 steps of a perfect loan process. How many human hours are you putting into it? You guys heard the way Michelle answered it. She knew exactly how many families she'd served. She got right to, well, you know, if the industry average is 4 or 5 hours, I'm 7, and this is why and this is how. I would just propose everybody on the call makes that part of what you do over the holiday session. Get extremely intentional around your perfect process, what the steps are, and how much time you're investing. So, hey, Bill, Coach Bill, any questions, commentary? I mean, this is kind of in your wheelhouse. Any thoughts?
Yeah, big time. Michelle, I just want to really congratulate you on what you're doing, and my guess is that you were focused on these things obviously before the election and before rates went up. But here's the conversation I'm having daily, and I'm sure, Todd, you're doing the same thing, anybody else on the call who's coaching. We have to recognize that when rates tick up the way that they did, particularly when it's kind of a milestone number, right, when you hit 4, there are conversations all around the country in your markets, in sales meetings, where sales managers are telling their loan originators, you guys need to be going out and calling on realtors. Because if 30 to 40% of their pipe was refis, that just largely went away, right? So what you know, Michelle, is many of those realtors that you have relationships with, suddenly they're being targeted by other loan originators, and they're going to be sending them books and inviting them to events and sending them videos and doing the, you know, I call it the Am I Pretty dance, right? Like a little girl spins in a spinning dress kind of thing. And what you're doing is you're creating the best defense, which is a really strong offense. So the very fact that you're doing the things that you're doing at the volume that you're doing, which is very impressive, I just think everybody on the call has to listen to that and really do a gut check on, you know, am I chasing my tail? What are the things that I'm spending my time on, going through Insane Productivity and really doing that gut check on the jam sessions? What are the specific activities I'm focused on? I don't think we could have taken a better example, put it up on a pedestal and shown light on it than yours, Michelle. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Coach Phil.
Yeah,
Love it, love it. So let me ask a question of you, Coach Bill. So one of the things that Michelle said she struggles with is she tries to do too much. Do you have any strategies on prioritization that would be good to share?
Oh man, I just think that's such a classic type A, wiring system, right, Michelle? I mean,
Right.
and so I do think that there's something to just sort of challenging yourself with what is optimal, right? What is optimal? That great book by Greg McKeown, Essentialism, the Disciplined Pursuit of Less. If we really look at what are the things that I want to accomplish, what are the activities that get me there, let me shoot for that. And maybe what I would add, I don't know if you're doing this, Michelle, but for me, one of the things that I'll do is when I knock out the disciplines that I need to get done, I'll reward myself. And so rather than pushing, right, whether that's a Frappuccino or going to the driving range for 30 minutes to hit balls, I'll reward myself. I don't know if you do that. Maybe it's time with your dogs who you've locked out of your office, but reward yourself when you hit the numbers instead of always feeling like I can do more, I can push harder, there's something kind of to that good enough celebration that I think is really healthy.
That's an excellent idea.
Cool.
I don't know if the type A mentality understands good enough, but I love that. I love hearing that. All right, so I'm looking for some hands. Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate it. I'm looking for some hands. If not, I'm gonna call on one of you that we know. In fact, I'm just gonna go in there right now and I'm gonna unmute. Since he was late today, I'm gonna unmute Mark Thompson and see how he is doing. How are you doing, Mark?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning. So bring us up to speed on insane productivity, sir.
Wow, I don't want to go after Michelle Town because you are exactly who I want to be when I grow up. So thank you. Wow, that was inspiring. And the funny thing is what you just said, or Michelle just said, was two things that I used to do and I stopped doing. And I just started thinking to myself, it's like, why is it that I oftentimes have such success in doing things, and then all of a sudden something distracts me? It's that shiny silver object, and then I stop doing it. So thank you for that inspiration. I'm after this meeting, I have one of my time blocks, and I'm going to start working on those projects.
All right, so what two things were they? Are you willing to share?
I'm sorry?
I said, what were those two things you stopped doing that you're going to re-implement? Are you willing to share?
Oh, absolutely. I'm always willing to share. One is just looking up all the loans that we did this year and pulling up the closing statements. I know exactly where they are. I love the idea of being able to send them electronically by email, but I also love the idea of sending a personalized note to the client saying, hey, it was really great working with you this year, and have that envelope sent. One of the things that we used to do is we used to send it in like a manila envelope, so it's not just a folded white envelope. But it's actually a big yellow manila envelope so that they open it up and it's there along with a personalized card with my business card as well. So that's something I want to do. Then the second thing is I love the idea of just really narrowing down who are the agents that we worked with this year and doing that personalized note. So we've got 4 weeks left in the year and a number of agents. So those are two things that I'm immediately going to start implementing. Thank you for that.
Love it. Love it. And so any struggles you're having that this great panel of folks we have today can assist with?
Hey, real quick, before we go off topic on that, which I'll give you another second, Mark, to think of the struggles and challenges, or maybe it's just a question, insane productivity question. I do want to throw in there when that activity of reaching out to someone at this time of year, it's a mortgage under management activity. So I also urge you, if you're not already doing it, it's a great time to include a total cost analysis in that. There's a lot of ways to either automate that or make that efficient. And, maybe every single client doesn't get one, but some do. But I just put a push in there as we get into the end of the year, it is a great customer touch point to say, hey, I'm managing your mortgage. This is how it would compare to the current market. And by the way, the fact that interest rates have gone up, it's a great way to show off the fact that, hey, I got you a great rate. Look what rates are at today. And for all of those people that have a rate that you would never dream of refinancing, it's a great way to, just like, hey, look how much money in that total cost analysis, I'm saving you $150 a month. That's X dollars per year. That's X dollars over the next 5 years. And just remind people that they scored with you, and it's meaningful. So anyways, just wanted to advocate for that as part of your end of year mortgage under management strategy. So with that said, I'll hand it back and let you answer Todd's question.
Dave, I love that idea. I've never done the follow up at the end of the year strategy. So with that, and I mean, I do quantify for the majority of my clients when we are doing savings. Well, we just saved you $625. Congratulations, you just won the lottery. Now what are you going to do with that money? But having that follow up by using Mortgage Coach, you got my head spinning. And I'd love to kind of figure out or digest what would that look like, and maybe what would be the training. And maybe I need to go back into the Mortgage Coach archives to figure out how do I use the existing templates that I have to be able to do that in an automated format. Is there a place where I can go to get that?
Well, I would say, when you think about using Mortgage Coach and the total cost analysis to be part of your mortgage under management approach, the call I did with our very own Todd Bookspan called the Annual Mortgage Review would definitely be, if you didn't listen to that call or haven't listened to it in the past year, I think that's almost everything you need is in there. Because, at the end of the day, while the idea is to do it at the end of the year, the concept is the same. It's just to say, hey, I'm tracking your mortgage, whether it makes sense to refi or not. I'm letting you know, and then you always want to put in a prepay strategy within that TCA. If you paid an extra 100, 200, or 300, how much faster you can pay off your mortgage. So I would listen to that call with Todd, and then I will. I just made a note to myself. I won't be able to do it this coming Tuesday because that guest, I have a very kind of clear agenda with my guest. But over the next 2 weeks between now and the end of the year, I'll dedicate 15 minutes to the Tuesday call to call it Mortgage Under Management. And then I'll also tell my training team for our next week's Thursday call, we'll dedicate it to doing annual reviews. And so from a technology standpoint, next Thursday at 9 o'clock, I'll make sure we do 15 minutes of training on that. And then if you want more than that, either post something on Facebook or send me an email, and I'll forward you some other thoughts if you want to execute on that.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man.
I love that. And I think that's a great tee up. The annual client review, I've talked to a few clients this week who said, oh, yeah, 2 weeks ago I had 25 leads and prospects, and today I have 0. And I've encouraged all of them to do just that, create the total cost analysis, send it out to their clients, throw a video on there wishing them happy holidays, let them know that you're still watching their mortgage and that they're looking good. And ultimately, in the end, it's going to do nothing but lead to future referrals, right? They're going to remember who their loan officer is, whether it's a loan that they can save money on. I don't know that. Hopefully, you've all taken care of that with your pipeline and anyone who could have saved money, but there's still going to be opportunity going forward. People are still going to need cash out. People are still going to need to get rid of mortgage insurance, and people are still going to actually have to move. That's what I keep hearing from my friend Bill Hart.
Hey, Todd, to that point, I think there's a great one-off idea here that I try and focus on with my clients when they're open to it. Michelle, this would be perfect for you. Any of you that have great realtor partners. There was a realtor that I interviewed in Austin, Texas years ago who sold about 100 homes a year, and she said, one of the things that we do is an annual real estate review. And she starts laying this story out for me like I've never heard of this kind of review in the mortgage industry, right? And she said, so what I do is I set up my buyers that when they move in, one of the things that we're going to do is I'm going to come out in a year, and I'm going to have my camera with me, which is now a phone, of course, and I'm going to have my clipboard, and I just want to look over the property. Like, how are the rain gutters doing? What improvements have you done? Is there deferred maintenance we should be considering? Is there a cash out refi that you want to think about for home improvement, in which case, of course, I refer them to my lender. For goodness sakes, how have we missed this all these years? It's such a natural transition for you when you're coaching and bringing value to your realtors. Coach them to make that a part of their system. Not, that's a great idea, I should do that. Like, make it a part of their system. Help them to get scripted around that and watch the value that you give to them and that will conversely just come back to you.
I love it. That is great. So I'm going to call on one last person. So those of you who I haven't called on, you really lucked out. I'm going to actually bring up Troy Root. And what I'm appreciative about Troy is, and the reason I'm bringing him in here is there's probably some of you on this call who are hoping, in fact, you're like praying that we don't call you out because you've kind of fallen off the insane productivity wagon. And what I love is that Troy's willing to get on here and admit that he has and talk about what he's going to do now to get back on track. How are you, Troy?
Hey, Todd. So I guess that's the first kind of recovery.
Isn't that it, right? You got to admit you have a problem, right?
Exactly, I got a problem. But the thing is, it's a minor problem because, in there we talk about the values, our personal values and our mortgage coach values. And really, I fell off a little bit on not doing as many jam sessions as I want, not being as productive as I want overall. But those values are really, over the last couple of months, have been huge on making some decisions and being able just to react quickly as to making a decision, either yes or no. And like Darren says, he was talking about, I think it was the franchise thing, that it didn't meet his values, and just being able to walk away and feel at peace. And it's been able to make a lot, just that little part alone has been a huge impact on me, both business and personal, over the last couple months.
I love it. And I think, I'd say, first off, thanks for jumping back on the call. As someone who has gotten off track and has been a contributor, it's more likely that we're going to call you out. So I appreciate that. What, going into next week, what commitments do you want to make here live into this large group of people for getting back on track? Number of jam sessions, what do you think that'll look like?
Well, I went down to about one jam session a week. Probably this week, I'm shooting back to get back with 3 to 4 sessions like I was. And I mean, they're huge because during those sessions, you are focused and you get a lot done in such a short period of time in those jam sessions. And I didn't realize how valuable just those alone were over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's I think that's the interesting thing. It's such a hard time of year. Thanksgiving throws a lot of people off because they take time off. End of the year, a lot of realtors start checking out, and so it just puts a lot of loan officers kind of into kind of getting back on their heels and not looking forward. And so, yeah, again, take ground now, and jam sessions would be good. Any other projects that you've been inspired by this call today that you might try to implement before the end of the year?
Actually, the mortgage review, the annual review. I mean, I've had some clients I just closed this month alone that I locked right before the election that were just ecstatic about the rates and how much we got them in at. I mean, I got a couple clients at 3.5, 365, right, literally days before the election, and so I love the idea of just going back and just reminding people how much they really saved over the last couple months, and by not waiting, especially on refinances.
Yeah, I think that's huge, and I love that you said that. It's something that many of us might want to think about instituting, right? So think about that. Any clients who closed or locked prior to the election, remind them, right? Remind them, you know what? Pat yourself on the back. Really pat them on the back, but you're patting yourself on the back. Hey, thanks again. Congratulations again for locking when you did. Rates have gone up, whatever it is on your rate sheet, 0.5%, plus or minus since then. And again, really what you're doing is saying, hey, look at me, look how good I am. And again, it's just one more reason to call. A congratulations call is certainly great.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you jumping on. Any other last minute things you would love to share with the group before I let Bill, Dave, and I close it out?
I'm all good.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for jumping in, Troy. Appreciate your bravery and allowing me to call you out to the group.
Anytime. I'm there.
Awesome. All right. So, you know what? It's as always, this call has flown by, and so I'm going to go ahead and bring back Dave and let him close it out and let Bill say a couple of last words, and then we'll let you guys all sail off in the sunset. What do you think, Dave?
All right, Todd. Yeah, I'll take the first run at some closing comments. So, I don't know. I always, I think this time of year, coming out of Thanksgiving, we're all feeling super grateful for our friends, our family. Hopefully you had a very successful year, and there's just so much to be grateful for. So, thinking about the annual review right now, it made me think of something that most loan officers don't do. Most of us, we only do the annual review when we think we can get a refi. When it's really not an annual review, but it's an ask. It's kind of like, hey, look how much rates have gone down, and you could do a refi. That's when we do it. So it's really not a give; it's a pitch. And so I think I think it's so powerful. And I think if you believe this, which I do, the more you give, the more you get. So I just think the theme for the month is how can we give. And so I advocate for everyone. Obviously, in mortgage coach land, an annual review, even when it doesn't make sense to do a refi, and you're merely showing people and getting them to think about their mortgage in an intentional way. I just believe that if you made that a priority and you gave a lot of value like that to folks that mattered, that you cared about, it would be a seed that reaps a lot of rewards as the year goes on. Not to mention the fact that you as a mortgage practice would get better at doing annual reviews. And I can't remember, I think it was this Tuesday's call when I interviewed Lori Richardson, super top producer with Cornerstone, does $60 million a year in volume, is kind of new to the mortgage coach community, but not new to annual reviews. And I think she, I don't want to paraphrase, she said it's literally the most valuable, most important strategy in my practice. So, I guess my last thought, and then I hand it off to Bill, is rates are high. It doesn't make sense to do rate-driven refis right now. But it sure makes sense to give some value to your folks and remind them about the value you've delivered. So those are my thoughts. That's my suggestion. Bill Hart, you're up, brother.
Thanks, buddy. Those are great thoughts. I'm literally just sitting here making notes as I'm listening to this entire call. The one thing I would just tell you guys, again, 14 years in this chair, I think this time of year is a great time to do your own annual review personally on your life. And as Dave pointed out, so many of the things that as we sharpen some of these tools and systems and disciplines, the personal gains that come in fitness and relationship and connection and intentionality are huge. And Todd and I next week will be with a group of the best in the industry with the mortgage with the Masters Coach up in Santa Barbara at the beautiful Four Seasons up there, and we're going to send people out onto the beach, and they're going to sit there with their journals and plan out their 2017 and whatever it is you use for that. If you use the 5-minute gratitude journal, I'm a huge fan of that, or the passion planner, or if you're coached by us or have been, or if you'd like a copy of the life planning tool that we use, just post that or email Todd or I. We'd be happy to get that to you. But that's what I would encourage you to do, you guys. There's a time, maybe it's that week between Christmas and New Year's, where most people have some time to just get quiet and reflective. And I would encourage you to do a personal jam session, a personal annual review as you think about this year and look towards 2017.
Boom. Hey, Bill, would you mind posting, a link to your, Building Champions review documents? And
happy to.
And also, I think it was coming into the end of last year, I had Daniel Harkavy the week between Christmas and New Year's do a call that was just awesome. I mean, he just netted it out. So I will also throw that in there. And that was some great advice. That Building Champions life planning tool. I mean, I have that somewhere and I reference it yearly. So thanks for that, Bill. I took a note, and I'm actually going to schedule a jam session immediately following this call. I'm going to try not to multitask right now, but I'm going to schedule that. Thank you, brother.
Right on, brother.
Love it. Well, I appreciate all of you taking time out of your busy weeks and lives to join us today. As Bill mentioned, he and I will not be here next week, so Dave will be taking charge. That may be a reason for joy for some of you, but we're going to be we'll be off life planning ourselves with our clients, and it's going to be a great time. But as Dave mentioned, I'm grateful always for the opportunity to get on here with you guys. And any other feedback or questions that you have, you know where to find me. Keep on doing what you're doing. You guys are all doing great, and look forward to being on a call with you all soon. Have a great week.
Hey, real quick, I do want to get the last word just because you reminded me you won't be here. So if you're on this call next week, you better be on next week's call. I don't want to come to that call and it's like, oh, Todd's gone, and everybody's like, oh, don't need to come to the call. No Todd. So please please come join us next week. Let's have a great conversation. I will post something on Facebook, our private group, on topics. So hopefully you guys will come with problems you want to solve, questions you have, and we will be doing a call next week. And then I think the following week we'll kind of play it by ear. We might just take the rest of the month off to kick off January with a boom. But please don't make me be the only guy on the call next week. Take care, everybody. Have an awesome weekend.